everyone, and I welcome you to the GATE Academy. Today we are going to start discussing some of the very important questions that have appeared in previous years' papers of different streams of GATE exam related to the vocabulary section, which involves synonyms and antonyms, which involves prefixes and suffixes, and all other different aspects of vocabulary that we have studied in the other segments. So when we are attempting these questions, we are once again going to apply some of the concepts and rules and some of the basic facts that we learned while we were discussing so many different aspects of vocabulary and word building through different videos and segments. So let us straight away start discussing previous year's GATE questions related to vocabulary, and let's enjoy this particular video. So here's the first question in front of you. This appeared in GATE 2010. This question states that there is an incomplete sentence given, and out of the 4 options given, we have to identify that option which, when filled up in the blank, makes the sentence the most logically as well as grammatically appropriate one. So the incomplete sentence states, if we manage to dash our natural resources, we would leave a better planet for our children. That is, if we manage to do something with our natural resources, we would leave a better planet for our children. Now, it is but obvious that the only way a better planet would be left for our children is if we conserve the natural resources. So option D is going to be the correct option, because option A, which says uphold means to actually uphold is usually some kind of an order given by a court or a tribunal or some kind of a decision making body that so and so situation is going to continue. But here it is not, we are not talking about whether the natural resources should continue or not. Here we are talking about that they have to be conserved, because there is some kind of a destruction that is happening with our natural resources. So the only way we can leave a better planet for our children is that when we conserve. Once again, the word cherish means to want something very much. That is again unrelated. Restrain means to control something or to put something in foundation so that something cannot move. So again, option B and option D are totally illogical. They have different meanings altogether. So the correct option is option D. Let's move ahead. So here's the next question in front of you. Once again, it is a complete the sentence question. This appeared in GATE 2011. We have to choose the most appropriate word from the options given below to complete the following sentence. The incomplete sentence reads as, under ethical guidelines recently adopted by the Indian Medical Association, human genes are to be manipulated only to correct diseases for which dash treatments are unsatisfactory. So Indian Medical Association has recently adopted some new ethical guidelines according to which human genes will be allowed to be manipulated to correct diseases. But what about those diseases? Let us consider from the options. If we put the first option, that is A, similar, for which similar treatments are unsatisfactory, this is illogical, because what do we mean by similar treatments? If there are already similar treatments available through other means, and if similar treatments are unsatisfactory, then how would human genes work? If we put the word similar, that means that the Indian Medical Association is allowing human genes to be manipulated to correct those diseases for which similar treatments are unsatisfactory. Meaning that there are some similar treatments that are already used which are not satisfactory, and then by manipulating human genes, the new treatments that will be come up will be similar. So they will also be obviously unsatisfactory, that means. So this is illogical. Next is most, for which most treatments are unsatisfactory. Now, here once again, there is no clear information from this statement that is coming whether most, the word most is going to work here or not. So most treatments could mean treatments that are being developed, very recently developed, or treatments could mean those treatments that have been there for a long time ago. So most can be a fit, but let us consider if there is a better fit or not. So next is option C, for which uncommon treatments are unsatisfactory. So uncommon treatments means treatments that are not common. That means treatments that are not put to much use. So why would a new kind of treatment that will be derived by manipulating human genes, why would such a treatment be compared to uncommon treatments? Any new treatment, any new type of medical innovation that comes up is compared to existing widely available treatments. It is not, any new thing is not compared to something that is already very less available. So again, option C is illogical, it doesn't fit. Let us consider option D. Available treatments are unsatisfactory. Now this particular word available fits in the best possible way, because for those diseases for which available treatments, which means all available treatments are unsatisfactory, only for such type or such kind of diseases, human genes will be manipulated to come up with new treatments and applied. So available is the most appropriate word here. So the correct option is option D. Let's move on to the next question. So as you can see, the next question is in front of you. This appeared in GATE 2012. Once again, it is a complete the sentence question. It states, choose the most appropriate word from the options given below to complete the following sentence. The sentence states, given the seriousness of the situation that he had to face, his dash was impressive. So there was a male who faced a very serious situation, but something about, despite this situation, something was impressive about him. So let us start analyzing the word. First one is beggary. Beggary is in no way related to any character or any quality of a person who has faced a difficult situation. I mean, if someone was actually begging because of a very difficult or serious situation, then beggary is not something that can be called impressive. Next is nomenclature. Nomenclature is related to how any technical things or any particular compounds or any type of products in any particular field are named. So again, this is irrelevant. Third is jealousy. Now, if someone has faced a difficult situation and then the person is being jealous, jealousy is never considered an impressive quality. So the only word that accurately works here is nonchalance. And the word nonchalance comes from not being affected. Nonchalance comes from not being affected. Nonchalance words means something that remains calm and relaxed even in difficult or different situations, difficult or trying situations. So nonchalance is the correct word here. Now we come to the next question. Once again, the next question is a fill in the blank or a complete the sentence question. It came in GATE 2011 and it states, if you are trying to make a strong impression on your audience, you cannot do so by being understated, tentative or dash. So there is a statement which says that if anyone wants to make a strong impression on the audience, then there are certain qualities or certain behaviors that must be avoided, which is understated. Understated means that you don't speak much, you don't express your views much, and you always maintain a very low profile. Second is tentative. That is when you are often having doubts or you are not sure of what you are speaking and you are having doubts while speaking. So the third word is also going to be related to something like this, which shows some lack of confidence, lack of knowledge, or some kind of behavior that is not expected if you want to impress an audience. So let us start analyzing each option one by one. First one is hyperbolic. Now hyperbolic means somebody who's trying to exaggerate a lot, or somebody who's trying to show something or trying to portray something as much bigger and much grand or large when actually it is not. Someone who's trying to exaggerate a situation or a quality or an achievement or something. So again, hyperbolic is not considered an impressive quality if one wants to impress an audience. Restrained. Now the word restrained actually works here because restrained is a sort of a synonym or the other two words, which is understated and tentative. Restrained means someone who is not speaking freely, someone who is feeling bound, someone who feels some kind of a mental boundary or something, or who's just not confident enough to openly speak up and confidently speak up. So restrained is a synonym is somewhat a synonym of the other two words that are mentioned. So the correct option here is option B, which is restrained. So let's move on to the other question. Here's the next question in front of you. Once again, complete the sentence question with a single blank. The incomplete sentence reads as, his rather casual remarks on politics dash his lack of seriousness about the subject. So somebody, there is a male who made casual remarks on politics dash his lack of seriousness about the subject. So if somebody has made casual remarks, it is obvious that either the person doesn't have knowledge about the subject or the person is not serious about the subject. So we have to look for a word that shows something like this: lack of knowledge, lack of seriousness, or something like that. So A means masked. So his rather casual remarks on politics masked his lack of seriousness about the subject. That is illogical, because if somebody is making casual or unserious remarks about a subject, it shows that the person probably does not have knowledge about the subject. So, or the person is not serious about the subject. So the action of making casual remarks is actually showing or displaying that the person does not have seriousness. It cannot mask it. Mask is just the opposite here. Next is belied. His rather casual remarks on politics belied his lack of seriousness about the subject. Now, the word belied can fit here, but once again, belied is used in slightly different contexts. Belied means something that you lie about, or something that does not show the accurate picture, or something that shows that, okay, this is not true. So here there should be a word that accurately says that, okay, something was revealed, and that word is betrayed, because the word betrayed means that, okay, if suppose you are supposed to remain very, if suppose someone is expected to show anger, let's say there is an actor who's acting on the stage or on in a film, and the person is supposed to be very angry and have a very serious expression on the face, but just for 1 second that person, that actor or that performer suddenly smiles a little bit. So that smile betrayed the mood, that the person was trying to be serious, but the person was not serious from inside. So what was the reality inside something that was revealed? That is the word betrayed. So the correct option here is C, which is, his rather casual remarks on politics betrayed his lack of seriousness about the subject. Let's move on to the next question. Here's the next question in front of you. This states an incomplete sentence which reads as, it was her view that the country's problems had been dashed by foreign technocrats, so that to invite them to come back would be counterproductive. This is a GATE 2011 question. So once again, we start filling up each of the options one by one, and let's see how the sentence feels or reads. Identified. It was her view that the country's problems had been identified by foreign technocrats. This doesn't make any sense, because the second half of the sentence, which is basically the most important part of this sentence, this states that to invite foreign technocrats once again would be counterproductive. That is, it would not be fruitful. In fact, it would be harmful in some ways, or it would be against the advantage. It would be disadvantageous. So it was her view that the country's problems had been ascertained. Now, if the country's problems had been identified, or if the country's problems had been ascertained, ascertained means something to accurately find out or to accurately determine something. So if foreign technocrats had been able to identify the problems or accurately, gather or understand the problems, then why would it be disadvantageous to call them again? In fact, it would be advantageous to call them again. So once again, option B also does not work. Option C says exacerbated. The word exacerbated means increased or enhanced. So now this particular option works correctly, because if it was her view that the country's problems had been exacerbated by foreign technocrats, so that to invite them to come back would be counterproductive. Obviously, if there are some people who are working for an organization, and instead of being productive or beneficial to an organization or for any project or cause, instead some people's actions are against or going in a way negative or going against that project or that object or mission or whatever, then of course those people should not be working, or they should stop working for that particular organization or for that particular project or for that particular work or task or whatever mission. So option C, exacerbate, is the correct option here. Let's move on to the next question. We come to the next question now. choose the appropriate word or phrase out of the 4 options given below to complete the following sentence. Apparent lifelessness dash dominant life. This question appeared in GATE 2015. The options given are harbors, leads to, supports, affects. Now, apparent lifelessness. This means that apparent means appearing. This means that if there is someone who is watching, there is any observer who is watching from outside, there is something at, let's say, at some distance, or there is something that is being viewed from a distance from outside, and from the outside it looks as if something is lifeless. So apparent lifelessness dash dormant life. Apparent lifelessness harbors dormant life. Now here, because from the distance it appears that there is something that is lifeless, but it can be a situation that inside that supposedly lifelessness situation, there is some dormant life. The word dormant means that something that is just about to grow, something that is in the very initial stages of its growth. So from a distance, let's say there is some place, some geographical place, it could be a planet, it could be a sea, it could be snow or something where there is very less life. So, or there it appears that this is lifeless. Let's say there is a desert, or there is a cold desert, or there is very, very high, a lot of snow somewhere where there is no vegetation, no plant life, nothing. So it may seem from a distance that that place is lifeless, but maybe somewhere hidden in that place, there is some very basic form of life that is emerging. So apparent lifelessness harbors dormant life. That is something that appears to be lifeless, can harbor or can contain a very dormant form of life. So I hope this question is clear to you. This is a slightly confusing question. The word harbor means to give support to, or to provide a place or position to stay and grow. That is what the word harbors means, to provide support or to provide a place to stay and grow. So this is what the word harbor means, and the process of harboring means to ensure someone's survival and support and care at a particular place, or to ensure someone's stay at a particular place. That process is called harboring. Let's move on to the next question. So now we come to the next question. In spite of being warned repeatedly, he failed to correct his dash behavior. Now we have to identify one of the words out of the options which most accurately, logically, as well as grammatically fits this incomplete statement in the blank. So there is a male who was warned repeatedly, but the male still failed to correct behavior. Now, of course, a warning is only given for some kind of an action or a behavior that is unaccepted, that is in any way bad or negative or harmful or unaccepted. So we have to identify a word like that. Now, if you look at all the options, the only option which is C, which says errant. So errant means something that is not according to rules or norms, or something that is not accepted in any workplace or in any workplace or organization, or it could be any place. Anything that is not acceptable according to the rules of that place, and that behavior is called errant behavior. This question appeared in GATE 2018. So I hope from these questions you are getting a fairly good idea of what types or kinds of questions related to vocabulary can be asked. Most of the questions in vocabulary are complete the sentence questions, where there is either one blank or sometimes there are two blanks also in a particular question, and both the blanks are to be filled up using words. And it is up to now us, how do we read the words, how do we identify the differences between the different options given. So we, as much practice we can do on vocabulary, as much as we can read, we need to revise prefixes and suffixes and synonyms and antonyms, because even through that we can often derive the meaning from a word, even if we are not sure of the meaning. Just by looking at the word carefully, we can derive some kind of a meaning out of it if we have studied prefixes and suffixes very carefully. So that's why prefixes and suffixes sometimes are very important in understanding so many different words in English language. So I hope you have liked this segment, and all these questions and similar type of questions are very important. So keep practicing and keep improving. Thank you so much.